Moving beyond spreadsheets. What can we do with GoldSim that we can't do with a spreadsheet? Spreadsheets have long been used for calculation and modeling. They are readily available and familiar. But if you have attempted modeling relatively complicated systems using a spreadsheet, you are likely to have experienced some of the following problems. It's hard to keep track of all the links. It's easy to get lost in rows and columns of numbers. Calculations are difficult to follow or to decrypt. It's prone to errors and hard to debug. Colleagues find the spreadsheet difficult to interpret. Because of these problems, you may have found yourself a little frustrated with spreadsheet modeling. If you are reaching the limits of spreadsheets and spreadsheet-based tools, it might be time for you to evaluate GoldSim. GoldSim offers many features that enable you to do things which are difficult or impossible in spreadsheets. Let's take a look at some of these key features. Transparency. Modeling a complex system with many subcomponents can be very difficult in a spreadsheet. You will often require multiple tabs of calculations with many columns and sometimes thousands of rows. Cell names are unintuitive, and relations between cells are just not visible. Equations are difficult to decipher, and very little makes intuitive sense. GoldSim provides an object-oriented environment where you can visually create and manipulate data and equations. Complex models, like this one, are organized hierarchically in a logical manner. As you see in the browser window, this model contains a large number of distinct objects called elements, each representing data, functions, processes, and events. Models are organized hierarchically into boxes called containers. By clicking on container icons, you can view their contents. The container path tells where you are within the hierarchy, and navigation through a complex model can be easily managed by toolbar buttons and a browser view window. Another great feature of GoldSim is the manner in which you can name and reference elements in equations. To illustrate this point, let's create an element that calculates the product of these two elements. By giving each element a unique name, referencing elements becomes as simple as typing in element names or inserting links from a browser. Equations in GoldSim are more readable than just a confusing sequence of numbers and letters. Notice that when the equation was created, arrows appeared. GoldSim automatically draws these arrows, called influences, to show links between elements, enabling you to see relationships between elements visually. Modeling dynamic systems. In a spreadsheet, dynamic systems are typically handled by adding a row for each time step. The result is thousands of cells, all dependent on each other. This system shown here can be easily translated into a simple and intuitive GoldSim model. GoldSim is a dynamic simulator. As a result, the concept of time is incorporated directly into the modeling framework. You can easily set up a simulation duration and number of time steps in the Simulation Settings dialog, and referencing time is as easy as typing eTime, meaning elapsed time. GoldSim includes a library of elements that can be used to model dynamic systems. For example, this reservoir element can be used to track time-varying quantities, such as the amount of water in the pond. It's easy to create a feedback loop like this one, or at a sudden, high-consequence event such as a rainstorm. The result is a time history, where values change over time. Time histories can be viewed as a tabular column of data, or as a graph that clearly shows how the variables change with time. In addition, unlike spreadsheets, GoldSim has the ability to easily insert extra time steps automatically to more accurately simulate the system. Uncertainty and randomness. In most real-world systems, there are processes and events that are uncertain or stochastic. A stochastic process is a process that varies with time, but can only be described statistically. Rainfall and the price of a stock are stochastic variables. You may have seen spreadsheet add-in products that use Monte Carlo simulation to generate random values given certain statistics. GoldSim offers these same capabilities, but is much more powerful because it can accurately represent dynamic systems involving random events and stochastic processes. In this example, instead of having a big rainstorm, we have rain events occurring randomly with a specified occurrence rate. The amount of precipitation is also sampled from a distribution. In this result, you can see that these random rain events result in spikes in the water volume. This is a simple example of a stochastic process. GoldSim has a wide variety of powerful features that allow you to represent uncertain inputs, simulate random events, and represent stochastic processes. Dimensions and units. Because spreadsheets deal only in numbers and cannot represent units, great care must be taken when building models to handle unit conversions. In fact, this is probably one of the most common causes of errors in spreadsheet models. GoldSim understands dimensions and units, preventing you from constructing dimensionally inconsistent models. This is a model that calculates the force parallel to the tilted slope. All the values are given in SI units. In this model, the element representing the mass is initially defined to be 1 kilogram. Now, let's try to input a unit that is inconsistent from the display unit and see what happens. GoldSim recognizes that meter is a length unit, not a mass unit, and displays an error. However, if you enter a unit with consistent dimensions, such as pounds mass, GoldSim accepts the input and converts the value automatically to the defined display unit. Indeed, you can see the converted value on a tooltip. If you change the display unit as well as the data definition, say to meter, then the total force element that references mass in its calculation does not have a consistent unit anymore. This is again detected in GoldSim. The influence arrow disappears and the input field is flagged. With GoldSim, you have a real-time check for unit conversion errors. Presentation. We have seen that object-oriented GoldSim models are intuitive and much easier for stakeholders to understand. In addition, GoldSim also lets modelers to create a user interface called a dashboard, where non-technical users can easily view and manipulate selected model inputs. The model file can then be saved as a player file, which allows a user to use the free GoldSim player to run the model, evaluate the model's logic, and manipulate key decision variables exposed on a dashboard. For example, in this simple model, there is one decision variable that users can experiment with. The dashboard control allows users to manipulate the decision value in the GoldSim player and examine the effects on results. GoldSim's presentation features and player capabilities allow stakeholders to understand the model more clearly and experiment with it directly. We have provided an overview of how GoldSim moves beyond spreadsheets. The transparency of GoldSim models and the intuitive and visual representation of the system, the powerful capabilities for modeling dynamic systems, the ability to handle uncertainty, randomness, and sudden events, built-in calculation and checking of units and dimensions, and the powerful presentation capabilities provided by GoldSim's dashboard features. All these advantages will enable you to move beyond the modeling limitations you now face with spreadsheets. However, GoldSim doesn't ignore the fact that you may have certain calculations, data, or result plots for which you wish to continue to utilize spreadsheets. To facilitate this, GoldSim allows you to dynamically link your model to spreadsheets. You can import or export values between GoldSim and spreadsheets, and you can even let GoldSim use a spreadsheet as a calculation routine. These capabilities allow you to take advantage of the best features of spreadsheets while using GoldSim as your modeling framework. It might be time for you to try GoldSim and see how it can help you capture your system more accurately while reducing your model development time.